The house had burned once. That was the first thing the locals told Lucy Thorn when she bought the old farmhouse on the edge of Marrow Pines. They spoke of it like a warning, like a curse passed down in smoke and silence. "That place shouldn't still be standing," the old shopkeeper said as he handed her the keys. "It's not right." Lucy, a 29-year-old novelist, dismissed the warning as backwoods superstition. She had moved from Chicago to escape noise, deadlines, and a toxic ex. All she wanted was peace, quiet, a place to write. The farmhouse, known in town as the Ashwick house, had stood untouched for decades. 2 stories, peeling white paint, a barn out back, and the faint smell of charred wood, even though the fire had happened 37 years ago. She unpacked her things, set up her writing desk near a large bay window, and started her new life. But on the first night, she heard footsteps upstairs. The thing was, she lived alone. The house made noises. Old houses do. But this wasn't the creak of wood or the groan of wind. It was rhythmic, measured. Someone walking. Upstairs. She climbed the staircase with a flashlight. Floorboards moaned beneath her. At the end of the hallway was a door that she had assumed led to a closet. But it didn't. It opened into a burnt room. The air was different here, thicker. The walls blackened. The window cracked. A scorched rocking chair sat in the corner, unmoving, yet somehow alive. Lucy backed out slowly and shut the door. The next morning, the door was gone. Only smooth wall. At the local library, she found an old newspaper from July 1988. "Fire destroys Ashwick house. 5 feared dead." The article described a family of 5, father, mother, 3 children. The fire began late at night. No survivors. Official cause, electrical. But witnesses said otherwise. They heard laughter in the flames, one report read. The fire moved like it was alive. Another article mentioned a 6th name, scratched in pencil in the margin. Yem survived, but never spoke again. Lucy asked the librarian if she knew who Yem was. The woman looked frightened. Elena Marrow. She was just a teenager then. The fire changed her. She lives in a cabin past the woods. Doesn't talk to anyone. Lucy decided to visit. The cabin was small, overgrown, and silent. She knocked once. No answer. Then, the door creaked open. Inside, the air smelled like old books and lavender. Dozens of drawings lined the walls. Children, flames, shadows, and one recurring image. A house with black windows and fire coming from the roof, but the shadow of a person watching from the upstairs window. She turned and found Elena. Older now, silent, thin, with wide glassy eyes. Lucy showed her the newspaper article. Elena pointed to the drawing of the figure in the window, then scrawled on a notepad. She never left. She's waiting for the second fire. Lucy frowned. Who? The girl in the ashes. That night, Lucy dreamed of fire. She stood outside the house, watching flames consume the second floor. A girl stood in the window, burned, weeping, and smiling. Lucy screamed and woke up, covered in soot. She ran to the mirror. Her arms were blackened, ash under her fingernails, a burn on her wrist in the shape of a crescent moon. The next day, she tore the wallpaper off the hallway where the door had vanished. Beneath layers of paper, she found an old carving in the wood. She burns and burns again. That night, the rocking chair started moving on its own. The girl in the window began calling her name, and the second fire was about to begin. Lucy didn't sleep that night. The smell of smoke clung to her hair, even though no fire had burned. The burn mark on her wrist throbbed like it had been branded. She stayed downstairs with a kitchen knife in one hand and her phone's flashlight in the other. But every hour, the house whispered her name. Lucy. Soft, childlike. Coming from upstairs. And then the rocking chair began to creak, slowly, steadily, though she'd locked the attic. At dawn, Lucy returned to Elena Marrow's cabin. This time, she didn't knock. Elena was already standing outside, staring into the woods, as if she had been expecting her. Lucy showed her the crescent burn. Elena's eyes widened. She's chosen you, Elena whispered. Lucy frowned. What does that mean? Elena pulled out a journal, flipping to a page where a familiar story was scribbled. The Ashwick fire, the dead family, and the girl in the upstairs room, Maisie, the youngest daughter. She was never found, Elena explained. They thought she died in the fire. But I saw her, standing in the window, watching, laughing. Lucy shivered. So she survived? No, Elena said. Her body burned, but something else stayed behind. Why me?
Lucy asked.
Why now? Elena replied with one sentence. Because the house must burn again. Lucy returned home to pack. She couldn't stay another night. But when she opened the front door, the house had changed. The furniture was older, covered in lace and velvet. The photos on the walls were black and white. And someone was humming upstairs. The house had pulled her into the past. She ran to the window, but outside, the landscape was different. No roads. No cars.
Just pine trees and mist.
Footsteps echoed above. Then a girl's giggle. Lucy slowly climbed the stairs. Her fingers trembled as she reached for the attic door, now completely intact. She opened it. Inside sat a little girl, no older than 9, in a black dress. Her face was pale, eyes dark as coal, hair matted. She smiled. Hello, Lucy. Lucy's breath caught. Maisie. The girl stood and took a step forward. You're going to help me, right? Help me finish the game. What game? Lucy asked. The fire game, Maisie whispered. One burns. One remembers. One returns. Lucy backed away. This isn't real. It's more real than anything, the girl said, suddenly angry. I've waited for so long. You live here now. That makes you family. And in this family, we burn. Maisie's face twisted. Flames danced to her eyes. The attic burst into fire, but only in the reflection of the mirror nearby. In real space, everything stood still. Lucy grabbed the mirror and hurled it to the floor. It shattered, and so did the illusion. The house returned to normal. Present day. Quiet. Maisie was gone, but the mark on Lucy's wrist now glowed red-hot. She knew what she had to do. That night, Lucy returned to the attic with a can of gasoline and a box of matches. She stood before the rocking chair, which now moved on its own, slowly. Maisie, she whispered, let me end this. The room chilled. Maisie appeared in the corner, eyes wide. You'll burn too, she said. Lucy nodded. Then I'll burn. She poured the gasoline in a wide circle. Maisie stepped forward, eyes softer now. I was just playing.
I didn't mean to die.
I know. Lucy struck the match. Maisie whispered, almost happily. Thank you. Lucy dropped the match. Flames roared upward instantly. Smoke curled around the beams. The old wallpaper burst like paper. The rocking chair finally stopped. Lucy closed her eyes. But instead of burning, she awoke. It was morning. She lay in the hallway, surrounded by ashes. The fire had burned, but only the attic. Firefighters arrived, confused. It didn't spread, one said. Like it knew where to stop. Lucy stood outside, covered in soot, shaking. Later that day, as the charred attic was examined, investigators found a small, child-sized skeleton hidden behind a wall, along with a locket inscribed, Maisie, our Moonlight Girl. The case from 1988 was officially closed. Checkered flag, 1 year later. Lucy still lives in Ashwick House. She rebuilt the attic into a study. No more footsteps. No more smoke. But sometimes when the moon is high and the house is quiet, she hears a child laughing from behind the wall. And the rocking chair creaks once.